Do it last night. Are we on? Good.
No,
9 o'clock?
just about. Now it is, yep.
Good morning. It's 9 a.m. and we'd like to call the meeting of the Cudahy County Commission to order. The May 9th meeting. Little housekeeping. If you have a cell phone, please silence it or turn it off. And if you do get a call that you need to take, please step out in the hall so you don't interrupt the meeting. We are being streamed live, so you will be on, I guess it's TV, you might say. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. I have a motion by Hatton, a second by Gable. Any discussion? I know that we will have an executive session at the end, and we'll hold it until the end. There will be no business conducted. It'll be in reference to a contract. Any other changes? Any other?
The Director of Equalization has also requested executive session for a personnel issue.
Okay, good.
So that's on there.
Very good, thank you. Seeing another, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 2, approve the minutes of the May 2nd.
Second.
Motion by Hatton, second by Van Dusen. Any corrections? Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's open up those asphalt bids. Rick?
Good morning.
We have opening of asphalt bids and action to award a bid if we see fit, or if they don't need any more review.
I probably will take the numbers back to my office after we open them, but I'll try to get back to you yet this morning with a recommendation.
Thanks,
Just have
Rick.
one bidder, so.
Thanks.
A lot of studying. Is that about par for the course?
Yeah, and it's, McLaughlin has kind of had it for years, and now the new one has done it with Purchase McLaughlin.
Say that name one more time.
Done it? Duinninck.
Thank you.
Out of,
They're out of Princeburg, Minnesota.
okay.
They do have the office here in Lettertown. They Purchase McLaughlin. Bid bond seems to be, do have a bid bond and it looks good.
Rick, I don't know if you want to move this mic closer to you. I don't know if others can hear you. That's the only one that's fired up.
Okay. I'll just move over this way.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Okay. Their bid. Bid A, $20 per ton. And at 7,200 tons, that's $144,000.
Yep, yeah.
Bid B, $74. And for 8,600 tons, that would be $636,400. Bid D, $77 per ton. For 1,500 tons would be $115,500. And bid F, at $50 per ton, $55 per ton, excuse me. For 500 ton is $27,500. For the total.
Say that,
$55 per ton.
I got 25,000. At 500? 50 per ton, 500 ton?
$55 per ton.
Okay, sorry, I didn't catch
I
that.
made a mistake, I said 50.
Okay.
Then I corrected.
Okay, all right,
$55 per ton times 500 ton is $27,500.
okay.
The total for that option one, using virgin aggregates and material, would be $923,400. Now we'll go to option number 2, for using recycled material. The bid A is for the base coarse gravel, so that stays the same at $20 per ton. At 7,200 tons would be $144,000. Bid C, $63 per ton. Times 8,600 ton is 541,800. Bid E at $66 per ton. At 1,500 tons is 99,000. And bid G at $45 per ton. Times 500 ton is 22,500. And for the total using recycled materials is 807,300. That's it. I'll take these back. It shouldn't take long, but I want to look at them.
You never had a bid B in that recycled material,
Well, the bid B is up in that virgin material.
but that's the only one, yeah, that'd be the only one you'd have. Okay. Good.
And we've used, and typically in the past, we've used the recycled materials.
We
And
use the recycled materials for, and then again, it shows up as a considerable savings using the recycled material. I want to go back, before I make a recommendation, go through their paperwork, and I'll come back later this morning with the recommendation.
Sounds good. We'll delay the recommendation from the Highway Department for later.
thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
I'll be back as soon as I can.
Number 4, action to set the opening bid for a public auction of the haying lease on the county-owned property, and that's about 9.48 acres or something like that, just west of town. And Cindy, can you refresh a memory?
Yep.
Where were we last year?
Last year, oops, I didn't pull that out this minute.
I looked at it last week, but I can't remember what
Yep.
it was.
I think
I
it's
didn't-
63 and a quarter, but you can check it out.
Something like that, yeah. Let me double check. What? Yeah, that'd be good because I'm having trouble finding it right now.
63 and a quarter an acre for 2-year contract.
Say that again?
63.25.
63.25
And that sounds right.
per acre?
per acre.
All right, you heard that. Commissioners, do you have some input? Open it up for some suggestions or a motion.
There we go. Found it.
Found it.
I
Why
never
would
remember
make up-
what I named anything.
She found it in big letters too, so we can read it. So,
I'd make a motion that we would leave it the same.
okay, I have a motion that we would, the starting bid would be at $63.25 per acre, and that would be for the, and I believe it's 9.48 acres.
The contract actually has the legal description, lots 2 and 3 of discount seed addition to the municipality of Watertown. And the last contract went through October 31st, 2016, and it was a 2-year lease at that time.
Is there a second to the motion that we have on the floor? We have a motion by Hanton, a second by Gable. Any more discussion? I think what we ought to do is the ad that was read, or the public notice, we should probably reread that simply because of the time element involved here. I think we're changing it to maybe not a 2-year lease, but how does it read?
It reads, Cottington County will conduct a public auction for the lease of 9.4 acres, more or less, of Cottington County-owned property for haying purposes. The public auction will be held in the office of the Cottington County Commissioners at 9:15 a.m. Tuesday, May 9th, 2017. The successful bidder will be offered a lease for property known as lots 2 through 3, discount second addition to the city of Watertown for an amount of time yet to be determined. A minimum bid as set by the Board of County Commissioners is required to qualify as a successful bidder.
All right, that's the way the article read. Any more discussion?
Just one question, Mr. Chairman. If the county would decide to dispose of that land, how would that affect a 2-year contract? Or would we be delayed on disposing of that land until after the contract is up?
Does it say, what, that line in there where it says, after lots 2 and 3, discount addition to the city of Watertown for an amount of time yet to be determined?
That's, the board can
It leaves it open.
adjust the contract to whatever time frame you want.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest, do we need to vote? The motion, as I understood, was to...
But yeah,
Yeah, that's all we want right now is to set the minimum, the base bid. And then we will offer a contract where we will, in the contract, we'll designate the time frame.
And then once, as we award the bid, then maybe the motion would be to draft the contract so that it says 2 years or whenever the county decides to the county no longer owns the property, whichever is sooner, something like that.
Okay.
In the text of the agreement, text of the lease.
Yeah, so we, right now, we just need to,
Or say make it simple and just put 1 year and bring it back next year if we still own it.
Yeah, but if we decide to sell it sooner than that, then
any more discussion? Anything else? Okay, you've had heard the motion, and there's a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The motion passes. All right, then let's go right on to number 5, the public auction. So at this time, we'll declare the public auction open. Who's the auctioneer here? We need an auctioneer? What? Is the sheriff supposed to do it?
it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I think you did it last time, yeah.
All right, let's open up the bids, and the starting bid is at $63.25 per acre. All in favor, anybody, Gabe, open up the bid? Mr. McElhaney. All right, you've heard, we've got one bid. Is there anyone that would like to increase that bid, raise that bid? Anyone who would like to increase that bid? Going once, going twice, going 3 times, the bid is awarded to Mr. Paul McElhaney. for $63.25 per acre. Now we need a motion.
Let's,
To accept that bid?
When do we do the terms of the lease?
I'm trying to see, I think, okay, we set the minimum lease rate. Seems to me we approve the sale at the next meeting. And at that time, we could also set the, I'm looking to see how we did it last time.
You know, if we would do it more often every 2 years, we'd remember how we did it
Yep.
last year, right?
The only thing is that saves us on advertising.
Advertising,
costs.
yeah.
That's
If
right.
we do it every.
I believe that next Tuesday, today, you would take action to accept Mr. McElhaney's bid. And then next Tuesday, you would authorize the board, or authorize the chairman to sign a contract.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I'll make.
We have a motion by Commissioner Van Dusen to accept the bid and a second by
I'll second it.
Commissioner Gable. Any more discussion?
Just, Mr. Chairman, just to emphasize that we're talking, I realize this isn't part of the motion, but as we talk about this, and I guess this might come next week when we authorize you to sign the contract, but I would suggest that we draft it so that it's for a period of 2 years, or whenever the county no longer owns the property, whichever is sooner, to be the term of the lease.
I'm going to kind of maybe step out of order here, but Mr. McElhaney, would that be all right with you? If we would do it like that? Okay? Just as long as you got the bid, we want you to understand what we're doing here.
Yep.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations. Go make hay. Yeah, well, the sun's shining. All right, let's go on to our reports. Auditor, what you got for us? I should have jumped and let you catch up, huh?
Nope, that's fine. We've sent budget worksheets out to all the departments. They are to be filed with the auditor's office by May 15th. We have some of those in already. We're also working on the ballot language for the bond issue, getting the ballot ready to go. The deadline for the city candidates to file and the school candidates is this Friday at 5 p.m., I believe. So next Monday, we should know exactly what will be on the ballot other than the county's bond issue. To this point, to my knowledge, there is not a race yet in the school district portion of the ballot, and it appears that there could be a race for mayor and at least one alderman race in the city of Watertown, along with the bond issue. So we have gotten our election workers in place. We've contacted our polling places outside the city, the small towns that we intend to use, and then the way I combined the precinct for the last special election for the rural areas, I'm going to do that again for the ones that normally would vote at the Extension Building, at Lincoln School, and the Days Inn. I'm going to combine those townships into one precinct and place that precinct at the city auditorium where the city will be having their precincts, so that everybody that normally votes at the Extension Building will vote at the arena, at the high school arena.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, just two quick, so are there any school board elections outside of Watertown?
We do not combine with those.
You wouldn't combine.
They conduct their own elections.
Okay.
If there is a school board election in Florence, I may put my precinct at the same location as the school boards, which would be at the school instead of the community center, just for the convenience of the voters. But
Two separate
we will
ballots.
all be handling, in those cases, we'll all be handling our own ballots. It's just that with the city that we're
Yes.
working together on.
And then, as far as early voting, where would that take place?
The city has estimated early voting could start June 5th, and I know that's a discussion yet to be had between
Yeah.
myself and the city finance officer.
And would the place be the city hall for that?
Normally it is.
Yeah, okay.
Normally it is. The question is just on that one, my rural precinct that only has the bond issue.
Yeah.
Do we want those people to come here? Is the city willing to take those absentees also, which would make it convenient for voters?
Yeah, okay.
But that's a discussion yet to be had with
Okay.
the city.
Thank you.
Good questions.
Anyway, that's what we are doing right now.
We do have another,
We have spring workshop next week too, so I'll be out of the office for a few days for that.
I'll step out of my realm here, and we have a question from one of the attendees here today in the audience, Mr. McElhaney.
Just curious, absentee ballot, does that start when?
June 5th is what the city has indicated.
I thought they usually start in several weeks.
That is several weeks, actually.
June
It's
20th is-
15 days before the election, but that, they are not required by law to start as early as the county does. They have a different law they have to go through or follow, and I believe it says when ballots are available, absentee may start. And it could take that long to get the ballot from our printers over in St. Cloud and get everything set up, so.
So are you possibly thinking about, for the county issue, doing that up here or leaving that at City Hall? That's what you're kind of trying to decide?
That's yet to be determined, yeah. Does the city want to handle all of the rural people who want to vote early? Or do we want to handle that here?
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Cindy? Good questions, thank you. Next, the Director of Equalization, Shauna. Yeah, come on up. Good morning.
Morning, Shawna.
Morning.
Well, you're up here, we're going to take the number 7 and 8, if that's all right, with everybody that involves Shauna, so she wants to get a new car.
Start with my report. We've gotten all the board changes have been entered into our system. The sales process is caught up, and we send in the first 6 months of sales next month, the first. The appraisers have started the small town reappraisal. We're in Wallace and just about halfway done with that. And then the appraisers and I will be attending conference in the end of May.
How did it turn out with the county and consolidated boards? Are any of them going on, or are they all?
The deadline for OHE is not till next Friday. And then circuit court, they have 30 days, I think, from the date they get notice of what happens, so. But so far, we don't have anything. We've had one inquiry to OHE, but nothing filed yet.
Any questions for Shauna? I don't have any questions, I have a comment. The other night when we were at South Shore for our public meeting in reference to the jail, the justice, the lady that was there had one question. She said, what about these small town appraisals or reappraisals? And we said, and Cindy handled the question very astutely. What was the answer?
What was the question?
Bottom line, she said,
She
does
asked-
this mean our taxes will go up?
It doesn't mean your taxes will go up. Your value may go up if it's been a while since your property's been appraised. And then she wanted to know,
If they use comparables.
Sales,
If there
yes,
aren't any
compar-
comparables in.
yes,
or
and
do you do that?
how you handle the lakefront property up there from the city, from the rest of the city
Well,
property.
we haven't done South Shore yet, but we will.
Yeah.
Value the land differently on the lake,
Mhm.
if anybody ever asks. As far as what the assessments are gonna do, when we do a reappraisal, some go up, some go down, some don't
Right.
change very much. It really just, like I said, depends on if we've been in there a long time. If there's, I know we run into a lot of additions that haven't been put on, basements that haven't been finished. I mean, especially in small towns, they're not, I don't wanna say as good. We don't get as many building permits, there's not as many regulations on building permits there as there are here. And so we don't get a lot of those, and so it really depends. But yes, we still use the sales. If they ever ask, that's how we come up with our values, period, is we use the sales out there. And
What if there aren't really many sales?
We do have quite a bit of sales.
Oh, do you?
But we can go back however many years it takes to get those. But yeah, and there's quite a bit for sale right now in small towns too, that hopefully sell by the end of summer, so.
It's been how many years since you've done these small towns?
Oh, gosh, I don't even know, honestly.
Okay.
I don't even know if we've ever really done a small town reappraisal.
Okay.
So we're talking 15, 20 years at least.
It's been a long time, I know that.
Yes.
I think that's why they have questions, because it's been so long
It's
that
been so long, yep.
there's a lot of people, maybe, you live in the small towns that have never gone through this.
I've never gone through it.
Good. Any other comments, questions? All right, let's go on then, and if it's all right, we'll jump down to number 7. And this is action to approve the purchase of a vehicle for the Director of Equalization Office. And if you look at this, she wants a new Cadillac, I think. Is that what it is? Oh, no, I was mistaken.
Not a big Cadillac.
It was a Ford Escort.
Ford Escape. Ford Escape.
It's close.
It's close. It's a Ford Escape. It's only got about 26,000 miles on it. It's 2012. We put 15,000 in the budget this year for a new vehicle. We want to trade in the Ford Windstar van that we got from the DAV many years ago. It's almost got about 200,000 miles on it. And then our 99 Chevy Malibu, we have not used for a couple years. Neither are very reliable. We won't take them out of town, but we want to trade both of those in on this new vehicle. And then we will basically have 2 vehicles for our office and one vehicle that we share with all the other offices.
All right, so the total amount that, with the trade-in is 14,249.
Yep, that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
I'll make a motion that we
We have a
approve the
motion
purchase.
by
Second.
Commissioner Hatton, second by Commissioner Waterman. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just to make sure this is budgeted, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Any other thing? Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Pose same sign. Motion carries. You'll get your new car.
Now we have to declare
The
them-
next action would be
declare-
declare the Windstar and the Malibu surplus.
Motion for that?
Make that motion.
Motion by Van Duzen, second
Second
by
that.
Commissioner Hatton. Any discussion?
They're
All in
going to
favor?
give us $900 total for those 2, which is probably a good,
Yeah.
Probably a good deal.
pretty good deal.
That beats paying somebody to haul them away, right?
Or putting them in storage and, yeah.
Yep.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
There we go. We got
Thanks, Shauna.
7 and 8. Let's go back to Welfare Department. Sarah, and Sarah was on last week, and she ended up in the doctor's office, so we'll get caught up today.
Thank you for your accommodation.
You might need an adapter, which
The
is
secret-
over there. I don't know what your laptop looks like. Maybe yours will fit.
The regular HDMI.
Kept all my
Oh,
notes
never mind.
Last week in my
Yeah.
drawer, so.
I just need to take it.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff.
This month I'm gonna skip a monthly report and just so that, a lot of times with my reports and the day that the month is, I'm kind of playing catch up, so starting next month we'll.
And I think what you're referring to is we could probably, part of this is going to be involve item number 9 and 10. Discussion and possible action on the LSS contract, and then action authorization on travel expense for the stepping up. So we'll cover all this at the same time. Is that all right?
Is this part of your monthly report or not?
This is what is instead of this month and
Okay.
next month.
Try
Okay.
hit your space bar once, Sarah. Just, why isn't that going?
What I'm gonna do is, each month kind of pick a topic of different things that.
Where's our
we do in my
control F4 on
office and
here?
cover.
No, on her laptop.
Try Control F4 from Commissioner Van Duzen's suggestion. Let me try turning it off and on. That's irritating.
Technology is not mine.
Or was it
No.
F2?
Yeah, it might have been
Are you
F2.
using the HDMI?
Control F2, try it.
Add on time.
Control F2?
If it starts smoking, I did not.
Don't.
Well, I'd fix it for you, but I forgot my hammer.
No, that's not
that's
it.
something.
Yeah, I guess something happened there, but, okay, just, sorry, Sarah. Well, you keep talking, I'll just keep messing with us over here. No, don't pay attention to the man behind the
What I could do while he's pulling that up is, would it be okay to skip to the other two items? We could go over
Sure.
them.
Yeah.
Was it the contract?
Yes.
All right. We have a contract with LSS that we've worked on, has been approved by the state's attorney's office and worked with LSS. The only change, minor change from what you guys,
Pull that mic closer to you, Sarah, right there.
the only change since I sent this out to you, we added a bullet point on page 1, which is the third item. It reads, LSS will contact persons who have been placed on mental health holds to ascertain their degree of connectedness with community resource and will facilitate connections to services for those in need thereof. We don't want to participate, and take control over that, but we just want to make sure that they're comfortable. Kind of the analogy that we're using is this program is a baton, and from the police department, they're giving the baton to this program when they refer, and we want to make sure that that individual is securely passed on to whatever resource that is, whether it's that HSA. One of the things that we talked about, we know that when people are released on involuntary commitments, that they do have an appointment, but there could be some resentment because they were brought there against their will. They might be just agreeing to, so that just making sure that they're comfortable with that. So that we added that, but not to, as long as they are, we'll just continue, just kind of that follow-up, kind of that soften if someone had any issues with the process to kind of encourage them to continue on that.
Sarah, have you spoken with LSS about that addition? to the
Yeah,
contract?
yes, it
And
was
they're okay with
actually,
that?
they were the ones that asked to be able to do that. And what they said, they're gonna come in with the approaches, we're here with the county, to see, are you okay? Is there anything that you want? So that people maybe just understand it's a choice and their options, and after everything has calmed down and to talk with them. But we will not, as long as people are connected to services, we're not gonna continue that, but this is a piece where we think they might be dropping off, if you didn't have a good experience. I do hear a lot of positive about Watertown, the sheriff, and the PD. You guys do a very good job. And the other change was a recommendation by Tom Burns, and it's on the second page. It's the fourth paragraph. We just added nor any of its employees. So it's not just, it just included the employees piece of it. So just requesting the ability to action to sign, move forward with the contract.
Okay.
Okay, you've had a chance to, by the way, I should have said this earlier, the draft contract was in your packet last week, and I guess the question that I would have, the total cost proposal is $29,867.
For a year, we're only signing a 6-month contract.
Okay, and those dollars are coming from,
My office, it's been budgeted.
so everybody understands that this was in Sarah's budget. Do we need any more discussion?
When will this start? We are geared up to start next week if we get this signed.
So first off, I should entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gable, second by Commissioner Waterman. Now, is there any more discussion? Is there anything else?
Sarah, do you have will you provide us with a contract without a final contract?
It was in the
Okay.
minutes last week's minutes.
Commissioner Gable?
No, it was in the notes from last week's meeting, and then we didn't do it, so that's, right?
What?
A copy of the contract.
Oh, no, I meant after these revisions
yeah,
and
yeah,
without
yeah.
the draft off the front of it,
Yeah,
yep.
okay.
Something that
Oh.
Myron can sign.
Any other discussion?
This, Sarah, this covers between 5 and 15 people, 15 maximum?
Yeah, what we're gonna do, what we don't know is how intensive this is gonna be. These are individuals that probably aren't quite ready to seek assistance, so we're gonna start off with 5, and we can see it growing up to the next meeting is 15. We'll have a better idea, that's why we as we move forward, we intentionally put in the contract to be able to modify and negotiate throughout. What we're gonna watch, we wanna be able to serve as many people as we can, but not, but to do it well. So, you know, if 15 is too many, we'll back off, so we'll always monitor that. It just depends. We might have certain people that we'll have to meet with every day. There might be certain people that it might be once a week, and as we move into the program, we'll know more about that and be able to set a better number.
So your 5 people that are in this persons that are in this contract is kind of a core to
A minimum.
iron out some bumps.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, to allow us to transition as we're moving forward, yep. So let us go brand new program.
That whole idea of kind of starting small, when I was in Pennington County a couple weeks ago, when they came up with a new program, they would limit very much the target of that program, so that they kind of get stuff figured out, and that's kind of the same idea.
We, so with the MOU that we signed between the PD and the sheriffs, we've been collecting the calls. It's about 15 calls a month that we're at. We think that will increase as the training increases, that we'll get more referrals on that. So I think that it's a very doable number.
Any
Thank you.
discussion? Commissioner Van Dusen.
Mr. Chairman, this is a 6-month contract, you said?
To start with, yep,
Okay.
so that we can,
This rate here on their proposal for $29,867, is that prorated? Is that a year?
yes, because we originally asked for
Okay.
a year rate. So it'll be billed monthly, but if we continue
see.
on, we'll be able to continue.
So for
that.
6 months, this would be estimated at about 15,000.
Yeah.
Half that, yeah.
Do you have any idea, before you even start this process, of how many persons that you may be serving at this point? Or is this, like that 5, is that where you figure you're going to be to start, or do you have any idea where you're going to be?
We're working on that. What we do have from our contracts, the number of calls, we didn't know that, so we estimate about 15 calls a month. Now, it depends how many of those individuals will choose to participate or how quick. But the intention is to start with 5. People will be probably divided into 3 categories, and that'll determine the full caseload. So you'll have probably a category that probably needs contact every day. That's pretty intensive. That's where that number 5 comes in. If you had, at the hours we had per week, you have to contact somebody every day, that's going to limit that. So we're going to start with the 5, work through that. We see that we could get up to 15, because it may be just something of just the person's really willing and ready to engage, they just don't know which options. And then we're going to follow up with them to see if, to make sure they connected, if they did visit with somebody, how did they like that experience. The other thing is what it's going to start out with, this is a passing of a baton type scenario. So what we're anticipating, but we won't know until we start the program, is it's going to be about 2 weeks. The goal is within the first 2 weeks to get them connected to that initial contact. So our first contact with them, we develop what we call a safety plan, and that'll be as if in case they have another incident that created that call, they now have a safety plan of who they can contact as well. So hopefully that will alleviate some of the additional calls. So that's our initial safety plan. It also to help build that trust. Then we want to work within the next 2 weeks to get them connected with services, but we also understand we might need to follow up. How did that service go? How were you okay with that? Did that fit you? How can we help? And then you'll reduce maybe your contact, but we're still going to follow them to make sure. So
To know if it's successful,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. So it is kind of an unknown,
Right.
but I don't think the officers asked 2 questions: is this person open to services? So we think because of that question, most of these people will probably be able to engage. And then would they benefit from any type of behavioral services? But if they're waiting for treatment and they're not limbo, that's the point too. We're going to make sure we hold on to that baton until they can get connected. Is that, it's kind of vague, but.
Yeah.
Mr.
Any
Chairman.
more questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
I want to make a comment, just so people understand what this is. This is kind of adding a piece to the process between, say, the law enforcement and jail, potentially. And so the idea is that we start to deflect people away from jail that's really not the best place for them. That's kind of the idea here. And it's kind of a timely thing as we're talking about our facility. We're looking at a pretty modestly sized 120-bed jail. So if we don't do things like this, that's not going to last as long as we're projecting currently. So that's very important that we keep trying these kinds of things, deflection and other kind of alternatives. So.
The question we're asking is, if we intervene sooner, can we prevent them from escalating to where they either even get commitment or go to jail?
Yeah,
Can we-
yeah.
That's our question that we'll
Yeah.
move on to.
This is one area that we have lacked in Cottington County for a long time, and I'm glad we're taking action to move this forward.
Commissioner Waterman.
Question, I didn't hear you, Sarah. When you said this goes into effect, how quick?
We're ready to, next week, to start this up.
So if this is okay today, it's,
Yep, we're ready to,
When you
as ready as we can be.
Yeah.
We've
that's
worked-
that's fast in
tomorrow.
government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Like, I've been seeing some of the repetitive cases coming in, and I
Starting
know they're
tomorrow
ready,
would be
they're
good.
ready for us to start.
Thanks for
now.
your work.
Commissioner Hatton has a
Troy
question.
alluded to Cottington County's been lacking. Is this done in other counties that we know of, or is it successful for them?
What we did, what other counties do is a mobile crisis or co-responder. And that's what we originally looked at, but we didn't feel, for us, we felt like if you looked on a distance table, for us, here's where we're at, we felt this was a step this far. And so what we did is we worked with TASK to say, how can we do this but take a smaller step? And some of what we anticipate this will help us with, as well as will help us to know, do we have a need for a mobile crisis? Will it be cost effective? We're going to track times when calls come in, length of that, so then even if we do start a mobile crisis, we would have a better idea of when if there's a trend and when the times are higher. And that's how Sioux Falls started. So this is kind of developed from successful programs, with kind of a withdrawal. There is a program in Maryland that does this, and there's some that do this with substance use only, so we have a little bit of that model there. So but if we roll this out, the country's really watching us to see, because if this is effective, we anticipate it to be. We know outreach as a whole is effective. This will be implemented more so. People are already asking for all of our documents. Because 70% of the country is rural, and this is one of those things: is how do you do this in a rural?
You're hearing more and more about that very thing, the mental illness and the jail-related.
So, and we would really be a pilot program throughout the country as far as this is concerned.
Yeah.
So,
Good discussion.
good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good pressure.
Pressure, yeah.
Yeah, we're only
do fine.
one of 2 counties in the state right now that are stepping up in the mental health initiative. There's 3 now. Okay.
We are the smallest county yet, aren't we, or one of the
Well,
smallest?
we're about the second smallest.
Of the Stepping Up initiative, since we were originally, but now more rural counties are starting
There's a
to step up
couple-
to the plate.
Yeah, 1 or 2 that are smaller than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
we have a motion on the floor. Does
Motion and a
anybody
second.
remember it?
Yeah.
To authorize the chair to sign the LSS contract.
All right, any more discussion? Any last minute discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, the motion carries. Thank you, Sarah.
Sir.
Should we go back to your report? Are you ready?
Well, it's either or, if we want to do this.
Let's do the
travel.
speaker.
Let's do the travel.
It's in line with that.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, she did. No, I just.
and that's item number 10, if you're following on the agenda.
We have an opportunity. Jessica Peckover is from Johnson County, Iowa. They do diversion programs. She's willing to not charge us for her time, but come up and just requesting travel, just to talk about diversion programs. And this would be what we call along the Intercept 4, which is more as when individuals are being released, connecting them to services so we prevent and reduce recidivism. They have a very successful program, over 10 years that they've been doing this. Their county, I was going to look it up this morning, their jail size is the same size as our jail, and I think their population is close to 170,000. Maybe somebody can Google it real quick. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Johnson County. But, 10 years, they're a rural community, so they've learned how to adapt things well, and she's willing to come June 9th. I'm just requesting, it's in my budget, requesting to pay for her travel expenses.
Okay, you heard
I'll make that
request?
motion. I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gable, second by Van Dusen.
She will be speaking where?
At our Stepping Up meeting.
Which will be held.
Your committee
at the
meeting
We'll either have it, it'll be the courthouse or the PD, I haven't decided.
okay.
Okay.
Determine location, but
Okay.
And the date is,
June 9th, Friday, June 9th, 1 o'clock.
all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
I
same
had one
sign.
more question. Anyone is
Whoa.
invited to, I mean, is this going to be an open invitation to like surrounding areas plus local folks?
Yeah, I already talked with Stacy Eckerman, the Sheriff's Association, about opening it up, and then Lee mentioned
Yeah, I think
too,
we need,
making UGS.
UJS and
Absolutely.
state's attorney.
So we're welcome to come to that
yeah.
as well. This-
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If I can make a comment, Mr. Chairman, on this, the Johnson County, Iowa, when I was in Pennington County at the NACO event, one of the Missouri County Commissioner that was there mentioned they're looking to Johnson County, Iowa as a source of, lessons learned and good practices. So this is kind of one of the counties in the country that's kind of figuring it out.
That county was named after my long-lost uncle.
Yeah, there's another reason, Mr. Chairman.
She's doing no charge.
Yeah, just,
traffic
yeah.
class, which I think is
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
All right, so now we can go on with your
We had the
presentation.
Did we?
Did we approve? We had the motion, did we approve?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Just to make certain, but we did. I'm sure we did it once, didn't we?
Pretty, yeah.
Just to plug out too, I know you mentioned that meeting, we do have a stepping up meeting this Friday at 1 o'clock where NAMI Director Wendy Gabick will be there, and we'll have 2 peer representatives that is open. We've opened that up to the public as well. It'll be at the Watertown Police Community Room. At 1 o'clock? Yeah, at 1 o'clock. And then in our July meeting, we have Division of Behavioral Health will be coming in at no charge at all, and I'll advertise those as well. So. Okay. Like I said, one of the things I'm just doing is, we have different services that are provided in my office. I thought I'd just kind of each month, in addition to the report, just go a little bit over kind of some different things that this office takes care of and where we've evolved through the last 10 years. I started with utilities just because it's probably what we were finally last pushing and working on at this time. With all the programs that we take a look at, things that we consider staffing resources, what do we have and how can we best utilize that at this time? Of course, with anybody, time is an issue. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. So we're taking a look at, how we can be efficiency to do the thing right and effectiveness to do the right thing. Those are 2 things I always take a look at when I can, any type of our programs. Then we, always have to look at the funding. Since we just have such a plethora of funding in the county, I'm just kidding. One of the analogies I like to use with funding with this office is I take a look at, it's called a tile and grout analogy. The federal and state funding for us is like the tile. They cover the majority of things, and the county becomes the grout, okay? And we're there to fill in those gaps. And what we're finding a lot now, too, is as that funding decreases at federal level, most of the state funding in our state is just kind of a pass-through of federal funds that are administered. But as that funding shrinks, what happens, you still have the same floor area to cover, but your grout spaces get bigger. So how can we continue to cover that and make sure that we're doing that? So federal for us as county is very, very important, that funding on that. So that's kind of how we take a look at it. And so, we're looking at that funding, we have the same dollar at the end of the day. How do we best manage those resources, but also to have better end results? If we're not getting the results for individuals, what can we do that? So that goes with all programs that I take a look at. Those are the foundation. So just to start with, I'm going to start with, these are set policies that have been in place for the county and this, with the utility assistance. An individual, if they are required to have a disconnect or refusal to delivery, the maximum assistance for the county is $330 in a 12-month period. And if our policy states that there's federal state assistance, that'll take care of the county's obligation if there's other resources. And we provide assistance to bills which have accrued in 45 days. We are not responsible for bills that accrued at a prior resident and not responsible for deposits. The idea of county assistance is that they can continue out their services. This is a 5 to 7 year process, working with the policies of kind of how it evolved is what I'm going to go over here quick. Of course, 2007 was the first year that I started. It was really just learning the policies. At that time, we only tracked people who applied for county assistance, not all the people that asked questions. 2008 and 9, we began evaluating the work process, current practices. We began working with municipal utilities to kind of understand some of the issues and possible solutions at that time. And one of the things we started doing at that time was we promoted energy assistance. We sent out letters to clients any clients that had assistance to the county prior, we sent out letters to them with the information and applications to apply for energy assistance. We started that in that summer. And then we also started submitting energy applications. That is a program through the Department of Social Services. It's out up here, so we would submit those applications for individuals. And then we transitioned. What we found in that, too, is we needed to have people apply for the energy assistance before county approved, because otherwise they wouldn't ever fall through. So we found it more effective to do it that way. We began discontinuing guarantees for people who were over income. We had several people that were receiving guarantees that were over income. What a guarantee is, if the county says that to the city is, municipal utilities, is if the person doesn't pay by such and such date, we will pay. But if they were over income, we started kind of weeding those people out on that. Gave them about 6 months to work through that. And then we began utilizing the guarantee for people who maybe met the income guidelines, but they needed a couple extra days. And so that's where we would submit that energy assistance application. We would guarantee whatever energy assistance didn't cover. That was very, very effective, and it also reduced people coming back in, because energy assistance, once you're approved, it's all year, it's for the whole season. So it helped them a long time. We were first kind of laughed at a little bit by the utility company, but as you can see, as it transitioned, it changed that changed. 2010, we hosted community poverty simulation. We invited municipal utilities employees, and they participated. And this is kind of where things began to really evolve. We continue mailing energy assistant letters. 2011-13, we started submitting applications for emergency crisis intervention program. I'm going to explain that here in a little bit what that is. And then we began promoting other agencies and churches to assist. So if someone came into like a church and asked for help, we just kind of got the word out, here's an option that you can do for this individual. If they're on food stamps, we just can write SNAP eligible on the back page and send it off. 2014, we transitioned over to an assessment process. Prior to that, if someone came in, we were doing a county application no matter what, and that took for the most part, it took 30 to 45 minutes for that person to fill out. The interview takes about 30 minutes, plus they had to gather all their information, pay stubs, different things like that. And then on my end, it took another 30 to 60 minutes for follow-up. So it took us about 3 hours to do one application. Well, the assessment took 20 to 30 minutes. You know, we knew right away if we weren't on energy assistance, that's what we were going to do. So why not just do that type thing? It made more sense on that. So we used that to do that. Energy assistance is probably the biggest program that I use to free up household funds for other unmet needs. For example, if someone comes in, they say they have about 6 medications, it's $20 copay a month, they can't afford it. County doesn't help if you have insurance, but we can get them on this program and look at what other programs to reduce their costs that they spend out so that they can cover. Water heaters, nobody does water heaters that I'm aware of, so we can use this as a way to reduce some of their expenses. In 2015, municipal utilities began submitting applications. We had to work through that to see if they could. We began tracking like savings. The only time we count savings is if they would have been county eligible and we used other form of assistance to prevent the disconnect. And then 2016, now this last year, the Salvation Army began submitting at the end of this last year. The results that we've seen in this is reduced costs and time, but increased services. So I think that's fantastic. It decreased time for those in need. So now the individual, when they call a utility company, instead of getting referred out, they're able to handle it right there because they get faxed off, and it's just one stop for them. It takes care of it. Also, then because they're able to do that, they're able to work a little bit more with the individuals. Just to let you know, in Cottington County, municipal utilities sends out the disconnect every month. So utilities are doing the 10th. They'll send out a disconnect the 12th to the 13th with the disconnect date being the end of the month. We do appreciate that because, like I said, we had that maximum of 330, so it allows us to be able to get them on the services they need without the compiling up. The surrounding areas, power companies, they will actually generally work with people as long as they're making payments. So if someone doesn't make payment for 3 to 4 months, then they'll probably get a disconnect. But sometimes the problematic with that is it can be significant amounts, 1,500, 2,000. So on that, but that gives you kind of an idea of what we work with. We do appreciate that monthly on that. The applications increase long-term stability. Like I said, once you're on the program, you're on there for the whole year. So if you've had a situation, it still gives you some time to catch up. It promotes prevention to reduce need for emergency services, so you're not keep coming back in every month. We strengthen collaboration with other service providers. By doing that, though, we've leveraged resources to minimize financial impact on the county. And as you can tell, I'm going to explain this graph a little bit, 2007-14. Like I said, from 2007 to 2014, we just counted people that actually made applications. We weren't counting people that we were helping with the energy applications that didn't apply for county assistance. So 2014, we started to do that, and that's where you see the increase of the numbers. That's how many people we were serving. So we just changed our definition a little bit, and you see that starting to decrease in 2015 because now Municipal Utilities is helping that and other agencies. So we're actually kind of passing off that baton. People are still getting those services met without it having to come through this office. And here's just kind of what you can see how that has affected the county in cost. In 2015, we started tracking the savings. That's a pretty short number there. So we weren't doing that prior to that. Kind of unfortunate, but basically we're able to pretty much cover people. Here's some information. Energy assistance basically helps people pay for home heating costs. It runs through October and May. Propane is a little bit longer. They can, if your heating cost is included in your rent, it can reduce the cost. You can use it towards rent. They pay it to the landlord. We do utilize that quite a bit. One program that we use a lot is called the Energy Crisis Intervention Program. If a person has a disconnect for their primary heat, we can use this program to help pay for electric. Anytime that someone has a disconnect, Energy Assistance will process that application within 24 to 48 hours. So that's a pretty good processing time on that. This can also be worked to help prevent eviction notices on that as well, because they can pay for that rent if they have that and they qualify for that. We utilize the Reconnect program a lot. This will help somebody for deposits. For example, if they can't use the Energy Assistance program, they can use this Reconnect to get that deposit on that. And here's some guidelines. Like I said, deposits included. They can pay up to $1,200 for charges. So if someone comes with a disconnect that's higher, we definitely use that a lot. Just to give you an idea how significant the Energy Assistance Program is to the state, this is the most recent data I have. I wish I had a little bit more than that. But if you look at the state totals, we're looking, close to $20 million that the state of South Dakota receives in federal funding. Cottington County, 2013-14, about $667,000. Helps about 1,000 in families in that time frame, and it kind of gives you an idea. The majority of people are either elderly and disabled that do receive that program, especially people that are just Social Security income. That's a pretty significant number on that. Other funding sources we have in our county that do come into the county: Emergency Food and Shelter Program, Emergency Services Grant, Community Services Block Grant. In 2016, about 10,000, almost 11,000 was spent through those fundings. And then last year, Salvation Army expended 17,000 on that. So it comes to, well, what does this mean to you guys? How can the commissioners help? I always encourage you to contact your Congress people and encourage them to support the program, because if that program goes away, that just falls onto our lap. And that $670,000, I know we wouldn't have to cover all that, but it would be pretty significant that we would, especially the disabled and elderly. That would fall onto the county's lap. This last year, the original budget completely cut this program out, completely. And, you know, so those are things I always say encourage, especially Thune and Nome, who have a lot of say in the budgetary process, contacting them. The other thing too that I do and I always encourage to do is advocate agencies and other places to utilize energy assistance before other funding sources. The idea is to reduce the gap. We do have about 2 months where we have a gap that there isn't this program or other resources. So if we can, you know, if they're using this throughout the time that they have it, then we can open up that gap. Same with other churches, and they can use that fund for other things like that. So that's kind of a highlight. It's a lot of information, but any questions?
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate
Thank you, Sarah.
Mr. Chairman, just one question. So the process that, it's basically a process that you put into place. Were there other examples that other counties used, or did you kind of just figure this out on your own, or?
Figured it out on my own. When I looked at other counties, a lot of what other counties do is they will increase the number of applications so that they can increase staffing. That didn't make sense to me. I said I'm trying to look at it from the client's point of view. If I was the person, majority of people that we work with are working people. I want to, you know, what's the best and fastest way to get them to those services? And so that's where you're going to see that decrease, that my office isn't going to see people, but I think they're being better served. Because they can, you know, they can get that process. It doesn't maybe look as good because of the application. So it took a while, just kind of, and some trials and errors. Some trials and errors. You tried something, maybe it didn't work. And it kind of is an evolution. We started with, you know, like when we started doing the energy assistance applications, we would approve county assistance, but then we found people didn't follow through. We had that little bit of that nudge when we had them in that office. So we started utilizing that, and that just really started reducing the cost. So it's kind of an evolution trial and error. So I do want to thank, I know the boards before that was here, they always kind of allowed that. We didn't change any policies within what we were working in, but how could we fine tune it?
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
We got educated this morning. There'll be a test on it at 11.
How many energy assistance programs are there?
I'm going to do
That works pretty smoothly, this
Oh, yeah.
program. It really
Use,
does, especially with the Salvation Army.
my
Yeah.
I'm going to use my authority to bring Rick back up here. See, Rick is here. He went out and looked at those bids, and we can maybe get him in and out of here and back on the road.
Good morning again.
Morning, Brent.
Morning, Rick.
I did look at the bids, everything is up to par, everything looks good, numbers look good, everything. I'm just going to go through a little history. In 2015, we had a similar project on this same County Road 20 where we put down asphalt for 3 miles. This year, the bids for the asphalt and so forth on that road came in lower. The only bid that came in higher was for the gravel base that was put down. In 2015, the bid was $14.60. This year it was $20. But on asphalt, for bid C in 2015, the bid came in at $68.55 per ton, and this year it's $63 ton, a considerable saving. Bid E came in 2015 at $101 a ton, and this year it's $66 a ton.
Yeah.
And bid G in 2015 came in at $65 a ton, and this year at $45 a ton.
Wow.
The total cost of the project did go up 11.5%, but the biggest factor there is the quantities for bid A for the gravel base is 25% higher than the bid in 2015. And we put it on 4 inches instead of 3 inches of gravel under the asphalt. And then also the asphalt thickness is on bid C is going from 3 inches to 4 inches thick. So the quantities have increased. That's why the price is higher than what it was in 2015, but it's only 11.5% higher.
Yeah.
My recommendation is to take the option 2 using recycled material and accept the bid from Dunning. I think it's a very good price.
Make that
Right, you've
motion.
heard the recommendation. Is there a
Make that
motion?
motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hatton, second by Waterman. Any more discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, go back to the agenda then, and number 11, action to approve the auditor's account with the treasurer. You have the information in your packet.
This shows you the cash and cash items on hand as of the last day of April, which was also the deadline for paying first half property taxes. So you can see there was a lot of cash on hand the last day of April. It shows you what our general ledger cash balances are. It also shows you what we're going to pay out to the schools, the townships, the cities and towns for that first half property tax collection.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Hanton, a second by Van Dusen. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
And then the Register of Deeds fees were also, just to be noted, collections in the month of April were $20,090.50.
Thank you, Cindy. All right, let's go on to number 12, payments for the month. Action to approve the claims, and you have that packet also.
Not a lot to stand out this month. On page 4 is the first half appropriation for the predatory animal charge that we get from the state of South Dakota. We budget for that annually. This is the first half payout. On page 6, the Glacial Lakes Humane Society requests funds from the county on an annual basis. We are paying that out in the amount of $5,000. On page 7, at the bottom of the page and the top of page 8 are 2 claims for the Cottington County Historical Society. Those are grant reimbursement funds, so we will be submitting those to the State Historical Society for reimbursement, and then we'll do an automatic supplement when those funds come. And they have also, the museum has also requested their 2017 allocated funds in the amount of $7,000. Yeah, also on page 8, the Millette Memorial Association is requesting their 2017 drawdown of $5,000, and all these amounts were approved a year ago when the board prepared the 2017 budget. So you'll probably see a lot of these nonprofits submitting requests again for 2018, and that's something that we'll start reviewing in July. On page 9, the first quarter of our charges to the First District Association for planning and zoning fees is there, $10,818.07 for the first quarter of 2017. Those are pretty much the standouts. So of the bills being paid, just over $417,000 is passed through to the state of South Dakota, leaving just over $260,000 as county claims.
Motion to approve by Van Dusen,
Second
a
that.
second by Commissioner Hatton. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Weed supervisor wants to go on a road trip to Dual County. Explain your request here.
As I said last week, I gave the presentation about the weeds, and I said I would come to you this week on, Dual County Weed Board has asked if Cottington County can assist on doing some spraying of the poison hemlock. We are going to get some reimbursement of money for this. We'll put the set rate at what the labor in the ATV set rate is, which is $80 an hour for that.
You have enough staff and
Yeah, we
time?
have enough staff and time, so that, yeah.
All right.
This project will be getting going here very shortly, and so that currently right now for roadside spraying, so that the spurge is just starting to do some budding. We have to really kind of wait for a little bit of truer flower to control that, so.
Yes, we provide chemical.
Nope, they provide the chemical.
We just provide the
just
equipment
provide
and the staff.
equipment and staff, yes.
Commissioner Waterman, I think you're the liaison to the weed department. I'll entertain a motion if you.
I would make a motion that we Go down and give them a helping hand. at
Thank
no
you. Is there a
cost.
second to that?
Second.
A second by Gable. Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Happy spraying.
I will give you a little bit of trivia as we had about poison hemlock. This plant was actually ground up and put in a mixture and fed to Socrates for his death. So.
Oh,
I thought he committed suicide, yeah. Yeah. That was back when that was.
No.
We need to get that under control.
Yeah, we don't, that's not legal in this country, okay? We know that, right?
I didn't know where he was going with that.
Tell your staff not to eat any of it.
Or smoke it. All right, number 14, that's action to award bids for the Extension Center Complex Storage Building, and that'd be Milo.
Hello, Mike.
Mr. Sutton, you are... All right, okay.
Morning,
You're just going to
Milo.
make sure he's on the straight and narrow here, huh?
Okay, we'll just start with this. As mentioned, these bids were received and opened at the last meeting. Building bids,
Sure.
we
Yeah.
received
I think I threw mine
3
away.
bids
No, I left it
from
laying on my desk.
Zach Whip, Morton Building, and Crestone Building. The bid from Zach Whip
Let's see, sweet.
will not be accepted due to a lack of a bid bond. The low bid was submitted by Crestone Builders in the amount of $96,500. The concrete bids, we had 3 bids received.
We probably should take action on each one of these separately.
Okay?
Okay,
I'll make
Is that your recommendation? Is your recommendation to take the bid from Crestone?
and my recommendation would be to accept the bid of Crestone Builders
Ask your
for
question. Go ahead and ask your question.
$96,500. With the understanding that they continue to meet the specifications supplied, which would be to supply, or specifications listed, which would be to supply an engineer stamped blueprint of the building.
I'll make a motion that we accept that.
I have a motion by Van Duzen. Is there a
Second
second?
that. I'll second that.
Second by Hanton. Any discussion? Any discussion?
The question I had in my mind last week or 2 weeks ago was, Mort Building is a building system, not defending them because they are a higher bid, but how can we be sure that we're doing apples to apples and oranges to oranges here? And the long term, if there's a problem with it, who's gonna be there to fix this problem if there's a warranty problem?
Yep, good question. I did the best I could to sort this stuff out in the specifications, which is why we required, I guess you would have that information in the packet, but in the specifications, we listed a minimum of 26 gauge steel. They need to comply with the International Builders Code 2015, I believe. And they have to provide, which also would provide compliance with the City of Watertown municipal codes. They would also have to supply, that is for the concrete.
Oh,
Cindy.
sorry. There you go.
Okay. Okay, I'll start over again. The structure will be engineered to comply with or exceed the local building codes of Watertown, South Dakota, and the 2015 IBC code. Building will be engineered for a minimum of 50-pound ground snow load and a 35-pound live load. Building will be engineered for a 115-mile-per-hour wind load exposure, and exterior structure will be a minimum of 26-gauge steel. The rest of the thing on here were kind of to deal with wainscot and overhangs. Rough trusses will be factory assembled and are to be designed in accordance with current standards for specifications for the stated loading. So that's the best, we try to cover all our bases and get everything covered there. Our ace in the hole, I guess, is to get the engineer stamp of approval on the blueprints. As far as who's gonna be there, if there's a problem, we have to assume that whoever we selected will stand behind their project if there's a problem.
All right.
Is that
Good.
part of the motion also about the blueprint?
Well,
Is that something that we can-
that's in the
That's
bids.
in the specs.
Yeah, the
Okay.
specs, so, yeah.
I didn't know if it had to
Yeah.
be in the motion also.
So, Mr. Chairman, just a question. So, and this covers the excise tax as well? I mean, that's included within?
That's their responsibility
all right.
for
Yeah.
the bottom.
Okay.
The bottom line on their number is what we're
Right,
interested
right,
in.
okay.
Their contractor's license insurance, is that, how far does that go forward then? If we have a problem 5 years and they're not here anymore, can we go back to their contractor's insurance?
That's a question for somebody smarter than me. Currently, they
yeah.
have listed, their insurance carrier and that kind of stuff, so.
Well,
For today, they're good. I mean,
Yeah.
what happens tomorrow is beyond
Yeah.
all of our control.
That's with anybody you deal with.
yeah. I mean, for both, just, Mr. Chairman, just for both of them, I mean, they're both reputable companies, and, so the reputation, I mean, the quality of the work is something they care about because it reflects on their reputation, so.
Milo, what was the difference between the two bids, between Crestone?
Okay, the Martin Building was 105,821, and Crestone was 96,500. So we got about a 9,000 plus difference.
Any more discussion? We have a motion on the floor. We have a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Let's look at the concrete.
Okay, the concrete. We did receive 3 bids for the concrete
It's a little.
from Nygaard Concrete Construction, Crestone Builders, and, help me out, JR Construction. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you got it on there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Actually, these bids were quite close. We had I'll take the bottom 2 bids. The base bid amount from Crestone Builders was $28,600, plus an alternate, which I had requested an alternate for 625 square feet of concrete, a price for that. This is just in case we have a discrepancy in our measurement. 6 inches of concrete over 104 foot can add up in a hurry, or maybe we need to put a sidewalk in or whatever. The alternate from Crestone was $2,875 for a total of $31,475. Nygaard Concrete Construction, their base bid was $28,653.11, plus the alternate of $2,656.25 for a total of $31,309.36. That would be my recommendation to accept the bid of Nygaard Concrete Construction. It was just a smidgen lower, about in that $160 range lower, $31,309.36.
Make that motion?
We have a motion by Van Duzen
Second.
and a second by Waterman. Any discussion?
What was the other, Crestone, what was the other amount that, after the 28,600?
For Crestone,
31.
Yeah, for the added on.
31,475.
All right, thanks.
My only question was, and it's not a question, it's a thought that I would just, Nygaard and Crestone got to work together. If Crestone would have had it, they would have the whole concrete on the building. That's the way it is.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
This process is the way we did it, with Cottington County being the general contractor.
Can't
Guess
say
it's
that
up to
we're,
us to make sure that they play nice together.
can't say that we're not spreading our business around, right?
Milo, Nygaard's also had a bid bond, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
Mr. Nygaard, you're here today.
Mr. Niger.
Oh,
I
So,
don't know if there's anything that
when
you
we're
want to
talking
say.
about playing fair, so. I can- We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Good discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Electrical bid. We received 5 bids for the electrical work. We had one bid by Cluse Electric that was rejected because there was no bid bond included. The low bid, the other one, we received bids from Dan Urban, Ingolstadt Electric, Marquardt Electric, and Muth Electric. With the low bid from the remaining 4 being Muth Electric, at a cost of $9,430.
Make a motion to approve that.
We have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Hatton, a second by Waterman. Any discussion? Any
That's your recommendation?
Yeah, my recommendation would be to go with the bid of Muth Electric for $9,430.
I know we have a motion, a second. Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, you've
I just
heard
wanted to
that.
make sure that was his recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank
Okay.
you, Milo.
Now to tie up a couple loose ends, just for your information, the total of all bids, the total of all bids came in at $137,239.36. The estimated site prep work, which will be supplied by the county highway shop, is estimated at $7,563, giving us a grand total of $144,802.36.
Milo, did you have an estimated cost on this project before you started?
We had an estimated cost of this project that we used for a budget figure of $160,000. So we fell within our budgetary purpose on there. A little extra caveat, being we have some indecision on exactly where this building is going to be located. There could be a little shift in cost, possibly with the electrical. The only difference being it may be 50 foot longer to get, longer or shorter to get electrical service to our building when we put it behind the Park and Rec field house versus
Yes.
where we.
Which one would be
And those
cheaper,
ne-
Milo?
Pardon?
Which one would you think would be cheaper?
I really can't even tell you that. We researched it for the location over on, south of the ice arena. I think it's gonna be comparable. There's power within a reasonable distance either way, but
That would require a change order to the contract then?
possibly. It depends on how the distances work out and stuff.
Right. And as far as the location, that is pending yet. Details are really close and being worked out with the city, so we should know something by next week, I would say.
Okay.
Thank you, Milo. Good work.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That's for the next one. You can pass those.
All right, let's go on to number 16, the application for abatements.
Oops, 15.
15.
15, I'm sorry. Discussion possible action to approve minor ballot changes for the county bond issue. Is this a change order, Mr. Gale?
Not exactly.
Oh.
No, it doesn't affect cost. So, Mr. Chairman, we at last week's Justice Advisory Committee meeting, we had some good discussion about public awareness issues. We talked about the brochure, and there are copies up there for folks on the table. But we also talked about ballot language a little bit, and we had a good comment from the public. the way the ballot language reads now, it talks about, the amount of the bond, it talks about the purpose, but then it talks about, at the end, it says, for the purpose of constructing, renovating, and equipping justice and public safety facilities. And there was a little bit of, a member of the public mentioned that not everybody's going to know what public safety facilities are. And so so what you see here, and it's circled on your, on each of the pieces of paper, or the copies, or the portion of the bond resolution that I passed out that says changing, what I'm suggesting is maybe changing the words justice and public safety to court, comma, county jail, and county law enforcement. And so then that sentence would read, or that phrase would read, for the purpose of constructing, renovating, and equipping court, county jail, and county law enforcement facilities, just for a bit of clarity. So that's, my motion is that we make that minor change to the ballot language, for starters. And this motion would not change the resolution, so it would be just another kind of piece of paper. So, and for everybody's information, well, I can wait for a second, but I did have a few things to add before I go on. So,
All right.
so that's my motion.
You've heard the motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second that
A
motion.
second by Van Dusen. Any more discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I could go on, Toby Morris, the bond advisor, and Mr. Meyer Henry, the bond counsel, to minimize the paperwork, they would like us to readopt the whole resolution, but I didn't put that on the agenda. I just talked about the language. This helps me when we go into our public awareness, just to show people this is what the ballot language looks like right now. And then they requested, in order to keep the paperwork to a minimum when you're doing a bond, that we just readopt the resolution, so we could do that next week. So it's kind of a formality since we already did it, but and the amount's already, it doesn't change really anything else, so the amount is the same. All the language is the same except for that phrase, just for a bit of clarification for folks. So,
Want to put it on the agenda for next week?
yeah.
I have it.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Thank you.
No, you
All right, do we have any applications for abatements?
I have nothing for 16 or 17.
All right. 18, personnel changes. We have one, I know.
Had another one that I got. First one is Lori Mills, is the 24/7 coordinator at the detention center. She's due her annual step increase to step 11, $22.09 per hour. And then payroll officer Jody Pearson is due her step increase to step 11, $20.48 per hour.
Moved by Hanton, second by
Second.
Gable. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any travel requests?
One travel request for a terminal operator course for our part-time criminal support coordinator, Charles Rosso. Travel is to Pier. There is the only cost of travel would be fuel for using a county vehicle. It's a one-day travel. And it was recommended by the chief correctional officer that he attend this training.
That's terminal, like you're sitting at a
Terminal operator
It doesn't
course.
mean that's the end.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
No, terminal, yeah.
I'll move to approve.
Terminal training.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by
Second.
Hatton, a second by Gable. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any old business this morning? Any old business?
Mr. Chairman, just a couple things, just a reminder to folks on the Justice Advisory Committee the Justice Facilities Public Information Meetings. If you go to the Cottington County webpage, cottington.org, you can see the list of all the meetings, but the next one is tonight in Cransburg, at the Cransburg Town Hall at 6:45, and then there's another one this Thursday in Watertown at LATI, Lake Area Technical Institute, at the Student Center on the 4th floor, and that's also at 6:45, Thursday evening, the 11th. But if you need a list of all the meetings, I put that on the front page of the Cottington County website. It's also on the CCJAC webpage, and it's also on the our Facebook page too. So,
You probably need instructions on how to get to Cransburg.
Follow the detour.
The best way, I would say, if you're coming from
Fireworks,
Watertown,
hang a right.
yeah, if you're coming from Watertown, take the Bureau Road.
So there's not a way to get there if you go north and come around, really?
There's all,
You could go through Waverly
Yeah.
and over
Yeah.
there.
that
You
through the
would
per-
have to go that far north?
no, I think you could go north out of town to
Yeah, you
that
can do that.
bypass road and then take some gravel road in
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want to go.
yeah, you can do that. I've done
Is
that.
is
Yeah.
that the
No.
same as the parade route?
Yeah.
Coming
I would-
back?
Yes, you
The
could
parade
get
route,
the-
yeah.
The
Yeah.
Kransberg 4th of July parade route, the back
Yeah.
way.
But the other route is on
Yeah.
oil roads
Yeah.
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
way.
Or you
Okay.
could just
And when you get up
rent
to
an airplane
Kransberg
and-
anyways, when I went to
Yeah.
church Sunday, they hadn't really, they weren't up
Helicopter in.
that far, but when they lay that, they lay a fabric down, you can drive over that, but they set baskets, don't drive over them, drive between them, but they'll
At
leave
the
room.
tip-top corner?
Yeah, if they've gotten that far with the fabric, it's okay to drive on that, just stay
Okay.
between the baskets. and It'll be good.
That must be tough fabric.
Any
hope
other
so.
old
Let's hope so.
business? Any new business? Any new business? Anything for the open?
Well, some events that there could be a quorum of commissioners at is obviously tonight at Kransberg, the town hall. Government Affairs tomorrow morning at 7:30. Also LATI Thursday night for the public presentation. Possibly now the Stepping Up meeting, 1 o'clock at the PD on Friday.
Yeah. With
And
the
that takes
no,
us up.
okay.
Also, I would like to mention again, the Volunteer Center's annual fundraiser is next Tuesday night, the hors d'oeuvres extravaganza. The tickets are $25, and it's at Second Street Station starting at 6:30. So if you need tickets, get a hold of me. I can get you some.
Any other things for the open? Anyone?
Just, Mr. Chairman, just if anybody would like me or another commissioner to come and talk to them, please contact. I mean, like about the justice facilities, like a community organization or a coffee clutch or something. We're pretty flexible. So
All right.
Well, I'd make a motion that we go into executive session
All right,
under
we're gonna go
number
into-
1 and 4. Well, maybe 3. No,
1
it would be 4.
and,
Contract negotiations would be 4.
1 and 3.
Yeah, maybe 3. Contractor matters. Okay.
Yeah. And Shauna, we'll take yours right away, okay?
Your second?
Second.